Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Answers Yes podcast. I've enjoyed so many of my most recent guests. If this is anything like the rest of what 2022 is going to be like, you are in for a treat. I've got Fred Joyal on the phone this morning. Good morning. How are you today?
Fantastic. Really excited to talk to your lively audience out there.
Well, you know, I get the comments back, and they're pretty lively, and they appreciate our guests and the values that they bring. A lot of people out there saying yes to opportunities right now, so I love hearing their stories.
Yeah, well, it's a powerful word, isn't it? It's a commitment in many ways.
Yeah,
if you treat it that way.
Yeah, it sure can be. Now, I want to get to your book, and I realized when your publicist reached out that you've got some great titles out there, specifically Super Bowl. Can we go through your background first and tell us a little bit about who you are? I love our listeners to hear where things started for us. So for me, it started out in the playground in grade school selling gum as an entrepreneur. For you, it might have started somewhere else. But give us some of your background and what got you involved and where you're at today.
Yeah, so I took about 8 years to finish college. I took most of the middle off, like 4 years as a vagabond. I had no idea what I wanted to do, what was interesting to me. So I did every kind of job just to make money, laying carpet, painting houses, bartending, sold frozen meat door to door. That was an interesting experience. And then when I finished college, I got involved with this startup company, and it was like the worst entrepreneur imaginable. It was like a reverse MBA. But because of it, I sort of got the idea about starting businesses. And then I walked into an advertising agency for the first time, and I went, oh, these are my people. And I could do this, because I could never think of what I would want to do for a career. And then I saw it. And so I found a way to get a job as a copywriter. It took me 6 months of going to a night school that trained people on how to write advertising. But I got the first job I went on an interview on, and they just shoved me right in the deep end of the pool. I had big clients, and I was writing radio and TV ads for them and pitching business to get new clients. And because I had worked in so many businesses, I thought like a business owner perspective. Mm-hmm. And the business owners appreciated that, because a lot of people in advertising, they're worried about their own reel, right? They want their stuff to look good so that they can get another job that pays even more. So it doesn't matter if it sells. And I learned to make it sell. And that became something that the clients really appreciated, and it was very effective. But I didn't like the career arc of advertising, mm-hmm. which just moves up really nicely till you're 50 into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then it drops off a cliff. Mm-hmm. And then you can't get a cup of coffee from somebody. Mm-hmm. I watched it happen to these guys. They couldn't get 75 grand. And so as it happened, the entrepreneur that I worked with, the pseudo entrepreneur, had done this one brilliant thing, which when the 800 numbers came out, he registered 800 dentists, and he let it ring to his house for like 6 years. And he saw me working in advertising, and he said, I think you could turn this into a business. And I said, well, I'm not working with you because you don't work. But it does sound like an interesting idea. And then another good friend of mine was a stockbroker who was tired of doing that. And he said, let's do this together. So we were young and dumb enough to try creating a business from scratch. And we beat the streets and set up a little call center. And I wrote radio ads, and we started to run them in LA. We had about 20 dentists on board, and we got 50 phone calls the first day. And we went, holy crap, this might work. So we just kept pouring money into advertising and signing up more dentists. And about 2 years in, we switched to television, and then the business took off. And then it went raging on for the next 25 years, really. And then it started, Google sort of disintermediated the business over time because websites came along and phone numbers became irrelevant. But over the course of the 28 years we were running it, we generated over $1 billion of revenue in total. And we were in profit from the third year on, no matter what happened. So, and we had a great culture. We had a great time. It was very rewarding for us. And then I started to speak publicly to dentists primarily about how to convert patients into, potential patients into accepting patients, because that's where they failed with us. And so I wrote a couple of books on it and did a bunch of lecturing. And then I finally evolved to moving beyond dentistry and trying to communicate what I think is one of the most powerful life skills, which is how to harness the superpower of boldness. And that's what my latest book is about. So that's the quick arc of everything.
The nutshell. Okay, so I just want to go back to this business real quick. So your buddy had a phone number, 1-800-DENTIST, and you guys go, well, let's turn that phone number into a business. And I just love that outside the box thinking that, and I'm constantly preach this, there's opportunities all around us. It's what you make of them and how you see them and looking at a strategy to build it out. I mean, to me, that's genius. You took a phone number and turned it into a business. That took a super bold move at the time.
Absolutely did, because we didn't know. We had to invent every aspect of the business. We had to figure out how to create a call center, how to sell it, what's the pitch, what dentists were the right profile, how to answer the phone, how creating the advertising, buying the advertising, every single element we had to learn or create. There was no manual. There was no template to turn to. There was no business school that would say, oh, this is how you start an 800 number business. We started at the same time as 800 Flower. There were very few businesses doing this, and then all of a sudden everybody was. But very few. The beauty of 800 Dentist was we could do radio and not have to say the phone number over and over again. We had this memorability, and we had a long half-life. Most direct marketing, where you use the phone number, you have a 90-second half-life to capture your customer. We would easily have 90 days because they remembered the number. So they didn't need a dentist when they heard the ad. They just needed to remember the number when they did need a dentist. So it was an enormous advantage. Allowed us to put more copy in the spots to pitch, rather than say, call 888-999-222, right? It's like say that 50 times in your ad so they remember it. We didn't have that handicap. So we really were able to leverage that. And, it's these little things that make all the difference. And we got really efficient at buying advertising. We were our own media buying agency because that's where a lot of businesses flush their money down the toilet. And I had watched them do that in the ad business. So I said, I got to do this myself. I can't trust anybody. Yeah. So we had to learn that too.
Yeah. There's so many opportunities out there right now, just like what you guys took advantage of. And I'm sure that your book supports people getting involved in these types of things. But I was thinking about NFTs right now. NFTs are so popular. Everybody's talking about them. Well, who owns NFT.com or NFTart.com or NFTmusic.com? Somebody jumped on that pretty quick, and there's no doubt they're probably going to make a fortune doing it. Talk to me a little bit about the process of getting something like that started, like you did your 1-800 number. Obviously, you incorporate a buddy, but did you guys build out a business plan? Did you write it on the back of a napkin? Did you just run towards the door? Or how does this thing start, and what tools can we give people now?
The one thing I tell people that was significant about the business is it was two things. I'll talk about both of them. We raised only $30,000. That was all the money we needed to start the business and all the money we could get from family. And so we had to always figure out how to solve the problem without throwing money at it. A lot of people raise money now. They got to raise $2 million, and they just throw money at every problem, and they don't learn anything because they weren't forced to be creative. And money a lot of times covers up the problem, solves it temporarily, but then you don't go on the strongest path. And so we got really creative. When we signed a dentist up for the program, we charged them first month and last month and a sign-up fee. Now, it made no sense that they would pay last month. They weren't renting an apartment from us, but we were just good salespeople, and we just talked them into it. And that was our working capital for a decade. Because you get 1,000 dentists to join, and they've all paid an extra $1,000. You have an extra $1 million of working capital. So we never had to go out and raise money because we got really creative about how to get the money from our client base. We just refined the pitch to do it. The other thing that we did that was really powerful is we were in 200 square feet for 2 years, the whole business. So we heard everything. It was truly incubated. And a lot of these people now, I can run it all virtually, everybody can work from home. It'll be great. That concentration is what allowed us to refine the business, because we were talking to the patients, the potential patients calling. Gary was listening to the couple of the salespeople we had who were pitching, and he was constantly tweaking their pitch, and they could hear him do it. He was the primary salesperson because once we got the pitch right, he could sing it like a song. It was he could do it exactly the right way every time. Yeah, I'm a freestyler. I got to do it different every time, which is not smart. That's not good. So he got me off the phone and let me do the creative stuff and some of the organizational stuff.
Yeah.
So those are key things. And don't hire your dang friends. There's a painful lesson, because you think, I can't afford great people. No, you're building a foundation. Those first 5 to 10 people are critical to your business. They have to be complementary to you, and you got to be able to trust them, and they got to be willing to hustle for you. And you're not going to have a lot of money to pay them. So you're going to have to find those people that want to be part of an organization. Before everybody was talking about core values, we had simple core values. We had a place number one was we want a place where we go to work every day and love it. That was the number one priority to create, because we had bad jobs. We had bad bosses. We didn't want to be that, and we didn't want to go to those places. So number two was everybody has to win in this business. It can't be a loser. My partner felt stockbrokers very often created losers, often for him to win. They'd sell a stock at a loss. He'd still get a commission. So the customer has to win. The potential client, which is the patient, has to win. And the employees have to win, and we have to win. But we don't do it. And third was money. Make a profit, make enough money. And money always stayed third. And that's hard to do as you get bigger and bigger. Money sort of works its way up, to be the most. Let's just make more money. How can we pay people less? How can we tweak the customer and give them less and make more profit? And we always kept money third, and it made all the difference. I tell people, in 30 years together, neither of us know who took more money out of the business. We didn't care. Each one took what he needed every year. And we're really great friends still, I think, in part because of it. One, we trusted each other. And two, it wasn't about that. We never were going to get in a dispute about money, which is a lot of partnerships go completely south over money. Yeah. Best of friends, family members, it happens too. So those are big things that we learned. And then, and just get creative solving problems. Perfect example was, when you see somebody says yes, there's like they drift back to no. The more time you give them. So we kept losing deals because we would have to get them to sign a contract, and